Live from iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the 2022 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series Championship Race. It is the 30th and final round of the 2022 campaign, where we will hand out the trophy and the belt tonight to the Full Throttle Cup champion. As always, happy that you're with us on a Monday night here on RaceSpotTV. We're alongside myself, Evan Pasoko. Happy to be joined, as always, by Nolan Rumpel and Terry Radford. Upstairs in the booth, our director, Joshua Lee's back from the beach. He's downstairs. And guys, this is going to be a knockout fight. So many storylines across our championship for Nolan, but we would be remiss to not start with the fact that it is Andrew Freenosh again, and against all the trials and tribulations that he dealt with this season in the Final Four tonight, with a chance to make it a 5th straight Full Throttle Cup championship. It's insane to even think of.
It almost wasn't, though, and it was, in fact, a largely luck-filled race that kind of benefited him over at Martinsville just 1 week ago, that saw him with that ability to now go after an unprecedented 5th championship and a 4th one in a row for Andrew Freenosh. But don't forget, you've got 3 other drivers that are all looking to see if they can finally dethrone the current 3-time straight and total 4-time reigning champion.
And of course, Terry's over there with his face covered. He's afraid to show himself, probably because Tennessee took a beating this past weekend. But we take a look at your playoff grid coming into tonight, guys. And of course, it all came down to what happened last time out in the round of 8. It was Kevin King who dominated in Vegas and in Homestead, but it was the win by Andrew Freenosh in the boosted 250 of the Martinsville Speedway to lock himself in. So King, Freenosh, Agnell Phillip, and the only person to dethrone Danson in the last 6 years in anything when Danson beat him out for a Winter Series championship. Danson now looking to do the same with the Cup Series title on the line. And Phoenix is a great place here on the service, Terry, for these drivers to fight it out amongst themselves at.
Well, I was wearing the mask because you said you were sick. I don't need that in my life. I was sick enough watching Georgia beat my volunteers. We won't talk about that here.
You sure? We can make time.
We're repping the orange regardless. We're not a fair weather fan, whatever. But you take a look at this racetrack. It's so distinct, so different. You see the dogleg right there. We're going to see people cut that sucker all the way to the wall. You'll see people take 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide. You might even see 5 wide. We go racing for this championship. I called 312 laps here yesterday, and only one driver out of this field was there in the NIS fixed race. That was Agnell Phillip. 40 laps. His card came in. Maybe he'll find some short run speed here tonight to pull a championship out.
You got to watch Agnell Phillip. Given that success, of course, we would be remiss to not talk about the fact that Kevin King won an FTF championship last night in these cars on this racetrack. He is somebody that you got to watch for. And then we have made the point week after week, and we saw it come to life last week, Nolan. The fact that Andrew Freenosh can just flip a switch, do 2,000 laps of practice, and be untouchable. 3 great cases to make for those drivers. And we have learned to never count out Matt Danson either. Danson, a 5-time winner. He's been in the mix. This championship could realistically go to any of those 4. And to remind those of you who may not know with this format, bonus points don't matter. The only thing that counts here tonight for those 4 is the highest finisher amongst them will win the 2022 Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series title.
And you know it's going to be such a hard-fought fight when you've got the top 3 in those point standings all lined up first, second, and third with absolutely nothing between them. It is going to be such a harsh fight at the moment for Freenosh. He might have to get the elbows out. He might have to drive a little bit dirty if he wants to get himself sorted. You take a look at it there. All 4 contenders locking out the top 2 rows.
It is incredible. A couple of seconds left in the qualifying session. Most of these drivers just doing a couple of extra laps of practice here, but it does look like your championship cars will be 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this field of 23 NASCAR Cup Series stock cars. The other battle to talk about tonight is the team championship standings. That is still very much up for grabs, and there was a large penalty over the course of the week that has shifted how that championship does look coming into this evening. Keep It Real Esports 2 had the lead way back at the start of the playoffs. They have not had the participation necessary in these last few rounds to score maximum points necessary. So as we come into this evening, your team standings leaders, Keeping It Real Esports 1, but they are only 25 points ahead of Flat Out Motorsports. So we could see an exciting battle even in the team championship tonight, Terry.
Yeah, there's so much to fight for here this afternoon. I find it interesting that we're 1, 2, 3, 4 in the championship 4. I kind of counted Matt Danson out the entire time. I don't want to jinx him, so I'll say he has no shot at winning this championship. He's probably listening, and it fires him up even more. The guy you're going to have to go through, unfortunately, is Kevin King. It sounds bad to say. He whipped their butts in FTF last night. He said this is his best racetrack. He was even good here in contender in the Xfinity car. So I think we can circle this 31 and say that he's pretty well versed in what he's got to do here tonight.
And of course, Danson, maybe the underdog in all of this for Altus Esports. One interesting thing as we prepare to talk you through the grid tonight is your playoff drivers, of course, have qualified first, second, third, and fourth. They were that exact same order in practice, also occupying first through fourth position in the exact same order in which they qualified. So they are all fast, but The numbers so far this afternoon would indicate that one of them has an upper hand, at least to begin. Let's go trackside and take a look at your starting grid for tonight's Get Wet Esports 250K, and it is Kevin King on pole position, 27.074, the 8-time winner. Going to bring us to the green flag alongside the 94 car of Agnell Phillip. Andrew Freenosh will start tonight in third. Matt Danson is fourth. Those are the four names to watch. They're ahead of Brandon Bowie and Sam Nieto in the top six.
And that will leave Grant Davis all the way back there in his Hasib Designs number 24 Chevrolet, with Cody Harris lined up beside him on road number 4. It's Jaron Wymister and Chris Rabel to bring out the top 10, with Michael Araya and Joseph Tice rounded out the top half of the field.
Go back here to 13th. You got Michael Johnson with Ross Cato, Brayden Whitaker and Braden Fetter placed since 15th and 16th. Nick Silver and Eric Papineau rounds out 18th.
And continuing on through towards the tail end of the field here this afternoon, Kalis and Stanford the top 20 with Schmidt, Burke, and Grindle. That is a look at your starting grid this afternoon, brought to you as always by our friends all season long at Kalis Synthetics. Well, this Phoenix Raceway clocks in at exactly 1 mile in distance. So tonight's a 156 lap contest, going to be 156 miles on the docket, about 250 kilometers per hour. 29 races have come and gone, and we are ready now to put the closing chapter in to the 11th season of Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series action, and we're happy that you're with us on RaceSpotTV. The field is in the hands of the number 31 Chevy of Kevin King. Let's go championship racing at Phoenix. Trouble behind. It's Johnson in the 39 car, out of shape. Now more cars gonna pile in, and a caution early on lap number 2 in the midfield.
And that was caused by something we really have not had all that much of a chance to talk about so far. That dogleg has been absolutely brutal, Evan, to everybody that has ran here. In fact, in the race that I had hosted at this race just this past Friday, we had 8 cautions just off of that dogleg alone. And it comes to the fact that the diffuser has a tendency to bottom out on these cars as you run through there, cause the back end to get light, and from there you are just a passenger. Eric Papineau found that out the hard way. Johnson spun out in front. He collided with Braden Whitaker. Whitaker had nowhere to go, slid up back into traffic, and of course Eric Papineau had to scramble up towards the top shelf to get around this, and Willem Schmidt, also an innocent bystander.
Not sure I've ever seen somebody have an issue, though, like Johnson there. He didn't even go below the apron, tried to keep it up top, and that thing just got loose. And when we talk about track conditions, it's not too hot. It was, in fact, pretty chilly over the weekend at Phoenix Raceway in the sim, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, but it is clear and sunny, so the track temperature is 91 degrees as they run right now on the asphalt surface, but an early yellow in this one, of course, not involving any of your playoff cars because they were all up front. And Terry, let's talk about those opening couple of laps. Agnell Phillip seemed to want to put the pressure on. He tried a couple of times to look and find a way outside of Kevin King. Couldn't make it happen, but you can tell that he has a sense of urgency early.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he ran 312 laps here yesterday in the NIS race that was here on RaceSpot, and I watched a lot of his tendencies. I tried to stay focused on him while focusing on the entire race, so I kept my sim dialed in on him and his telemetry of what he was doing across the board. I never found short run speed out of him, so I think he understands that if you could take control of this race early. I watched the 35 car in that NIS race go take the lead, never gave it up until he had sim issues, and he fell out of that race. but everybody who took it, the winner of the race stayed out on 40-lap-old tires to win it because of track position. If he can get around that 31 and hold this lead, I think he understands just as well as anybody in this field. And this is pretty tough to pass. You can pinch a lot well here. He might be a first-class one-way ticket to Albuquerque. I mean, winner's circle.
We'll see how this one shakes out. It is an early claim for Michael Johnson, so he will receive the end of the longest line penalty. Lights out on top of the base car, and we'll get ready to rock and roll. Of course, tonight's race brought to you by our friends at Get Wet Sports. Top-rated content library is your book in their library. They set the bar for streaming directories. You can learn more at getwetsports.com, one of the top-rated content libraries in the market, and happy to have them as a part of tonight's Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series Championship. So no changes towards the front, still going to be 2x2. First time Kevin King has the option to pick a lane. He will stay right down on the bottom. So it's going to be King and Phillip on row 1, dancing to the inside, a Freenosh to the outside on row number 2. Green flag back in the air, and a great jump for the 31.
King off and away, dancing side by side with Phillip, trying to challenge for second down in the turn number 1 out of the dogleg. Behind them, Andrew Freenosh has fallen to 4th and is trying to see if he can get himself sorted and work his way up through your championship contenders. Still green off of turn number 2, down that back straightaway, single file all the way back until about Jared Wymaster and San Diego for 6th.
Yeah, they all single file out here. You see Jared Whitemaster back there and San Diego going side by side. But now we're starting to see that dog leg be a little bit more. What I noticed in practice, what I noticed in some of the races I've seen this week is if you cut that dog leg at the right angle, you're fine. If you cut it at a weird angle, you're not fine.
To much success, and now the top 4 have been split up as Brandon Bowie, the highest running non-playoff competitor, sneaks his way into the mix now in 4th position. And Bowie's not somebody who's going to have any inclination to roll over and get out of the way for these guys. Brandon Bowie is here to win races, and of course Brandon Bowie's got a lot on the line. When you talk about where these drivers are going to finish in that team championship, he's representing Keep It Real Esports 1, who has the lead in the team points. For second spot, though, Danson looking to the outside of the 94 of Agno Phillip. They'll go side by side and a long way around. Danson will take over P2, and the hits keep coming for Phillip. Bowie down to the inside into 3, and just like that, Agno Phillip slips to 4th.
You saw Freenosh try to see if he could fill the hole and bump Phillip down to 5th, but he was not able to get down there in time. So Agno Phillip will stop the bleeding down at 4th place. How about Matt Danson making the charge for the race lead in the turns 1 and 2? Danson wants to put the 31 back early and knows if he lets the 31 stay out there for too long, he's going to start to drive away. Caution behind. It's a huge crash, a parking lot off of turn number 2. 5, 6 cars involved. Rabel is there, so is Harris and Lariah. Those were the big trio that saw us put under caution number 2.
What on earth happened here? We'll have to take a look at the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series replay, and there was the touch. It looked like it was between Harris and Rabel. And look at that. When they got sideways, it blocked the track, and it was really Rabel who came back up the hill right here in the Southern Creek Clothing Company machine. This is going to be a good look here to the inside of the 28 car. Changed it to behind the XPM Chevy in front, and I don't know if Harris checked up a little bit, but Rabel just got into one right there. When he comes across the track, that is a big mess.
Well, you saw him when he was right there behind Jaron Wymaster. He got to the back bumper. That of Cody Harris. He lifted just a tad bit. I mean, that happens here. You're going to be at the mercy of the driver in front of you. It's a shame that Rabel caught him there. I mean, that knocked out and put some damage on a ton of drivers. I mean, Nieto, Johnson, Papino, Grandel, Kalis, Lariah, all on pit road right now, fixing some type of damage. And I would imagine using a set of tires because they locked him up pretty good back there.
Drivers will have 4 additional sets of tires available, as is the standard operating procedure for all oval races in the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. It's also worth noting, you get incidents like this, Nolan, that start to damage some cars. Late in the year, you got smaller fields, right? 23 is the number tonight. You take even more competitive cars out of it, will really open up space for those Championship 4 to dominate the story and the racetrack.
I couldn't agree with you more on that one. So it's all those developing stories and the drivers that are definitely going to be something to keep an eye out for throughout the course of the race. As you see a couple of guys coming down to pit road at the background, those were all drivers collected in these first couple of incidents. William Schmidt was among the drivers that was actually collected a caution flag number 1 when he was forced up into the outside wall, and he has just been trying to fix some of that damage. Cody Harris is a bit of an obvious one. He was involved in this latest caution here, so we'll continue to keep tabs on all of this as the lights are still on aboard the iRacing safety car.
Of course, Danson, I don't think, wanted the yellow to come out at that point, Terry. He was hunting, looking to the inside of Kevin King and trying to get the job done there. Probably would have had a good look at it. I wonder if the restart benefits King, because, man, was the 31 good on the last restart.
Well, it's crazy is I talked to Danson last week after he, seamlessly found a way to call me out for pretty much burying him alive in the playoffs here, and he was like, I don't have time to practice. I'm probably going to be the slowest guy out of the 4. No chance. I have a shot at winning. And we're at lap 13. He's sitting second. He was a real contender right there to get up there and hold it. And actually has a really fast lap time, not as fast as Bowie, but very competitive with Freenage, Phillip, and King. So we definitely got to look out for it. But restart-wise, Kevin King holding the bottom, that's going to hold serve as he gets a really good launch into turn 1.
And nobody claiming responsibility for the last incident, so that one's going to go down to a post-race review, and everybody is lined up ready for the next restart. Again, no surprises here. Kevin King wants to be down onto the inside. Of course, you're probably not going to see a lot of dogleg action in the middle of a run. You'll see more of it here on the service than you did in real life. It's almost a restart exclusive, unless you were Ross Chastain over the course of the weekend, because guys really don't want to be scraping the underbody of the cars too much. But on the restarts, King, I think, finds the inside advantageous because he can try to cut that as they all accelerate and, hopefully watch them fight behind him. Remember, Bowie, highest running of the non-playoff cars, going to be behind the 31. There's a restart. We'll put 14 laps behind us, still with 142 to go on the docket. It's the Get Wet Sports 250K. We're back under green, and another good jump for the inside line.
It's been a very common sight all week long with that inside lane. They've been getting these massive jumps, and we're seeing Kevin King taking full advantage of that because the guys on the outside line have to be very, very careful about not wanting to go early. If they do, they're going to be getting themselves caught by iRacing for jumping the restart, but that includes just accelerating to try to keep pace with the race leaders. That's what allows for that inside line to get such a great launch here, Terry.
Yeah, that outside lane kind of got hosed a little bit. You see Matt Danson, he went from second. He's sitting 5th right now. He's under attack again. He's still got Agnell Phillip in front of him. He had Jaron Widemaster to his inside. It's Brandon Bowie. What a guy so far in these playoffs. Got eliminated. And he has been here every week, leading laps, very consistent as a threat to win. And if these guys want to win a team championship, I think the 34 is going to have something to say about it.
And he is going to challenge all the way up against Kevin King for the race lead. Down into turn number 1, Brandon Bowie making noise early. He takes it away, but for how long? Here comes King, crossing back over down to the inside. They go door to door again, this time at the far end of the racetrack now in turns 3 and 4. Bowie going to have the run up high, and they are racing tight for the lead, but Bowie gets his first lap led of the afternoon.
Bowie gets the first lap led. Here comes Kevin King to the inside, trying to retake the lead. That he will. Bowie trying to see if he can get the crossover, but can't get the power down off of turn number 2. So he'll be having a tuck and line down the back straightaway and letting King build that gap out to about a car length and a half as he continues to just push away in that number 31 car. Kevin King is doing a great job so far on managing pace, managing this field, and so far, Brandon Bowie has really been the only one that's been able to touch him, along with Matt Danson, who made an effort earlier, but now Danson sits back in 5th.
Yeah, sorry, I got caught up reading the comments. Somebody said, I hope the race isn't mid. I don't know what mid means. It's like middle of the pack. But, Bowie put a good fight right there for that top position. I think that that's the first time we've really seen Kevin King get challenged. I mean, yesterday in FTF, not really much of a challenge. He rode second for maybe 30, 40 laps in that whole race, and then he took the lead. He never looked back. My question's going to be to the drivers that are sitting third, fourth, and fifth. Who's going to be the driver to do something different? You watched him win it yesterday. Who's going to come out here and go, I can shake this up and beat him? I don't think you're going to beat him on pure speed. I think you're going to have to beat him in some type of strategic form. But if you're Andrew Freenage, I mean, it was a bold move coming out here with that car color, putting chrome on it, like you said, in the pre-race. That's you got to have something for him if you're going to run a car like that.
Yeah, we said that right when we loaded into the session earlier. I mean, that is quite the statement, I think. If you're going to show up to the championship race in a chromed out car, of course, he had the spooky paint job on it for Halloween last week. So Andrew Freenage and his partners at Battle Beaver always have a good-looking Battle Beaver Ford Mustang. Tonight is no different, but he is fourth in line of the four championship cars right now. Ahead of the battle back here, but the number 4 and Nick Silver. Silver fighting with the 20 car of Fetter Place back there. Bradley Burke in the mix as well. You'll see a lot of these drivers in a couple of weeks when the 2023 Real Sim Racing Winter Series gets underway. Registration for that's almost all the way full already, and there goes Bowie on the inside into turn number 1, and this time he will seal off the crossover. New race leader 23 laps in. It's the Battle Beaver Toyota this time of Brandon Bowie.
There goes Agnell Phillip trying to make a big dive to the inside, possibly trying to defend from Matt Danson while trying to mount an attack as well on Kevin King. Danson nearly clips the back end of Phillip that time by. Off of turn number 4 as you can see Danson trying to charge after that 851 Pro Chevrolet, getting right up to the diffuser. Danson wants to move, and he's a bit tired, I think, of sitting behind Agnell Phillip waiting for him to get on the loud pedal.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier when it came to a long run. I thought that, you know, you would put the key in the feather in half of the 94 Phillip. Danson might have something to say about that too. And we're 24 laps in. We've had 2 cautions so far, so we don't have 24 laps on the tires. We ran a couple caution laps around here, but these two have been even. Lap time wise, it have been almost dead even. It is a 28-4, 28-4 for both of those drivers. King's a little faster, and Brandon Bowie is like 3/10 faster than this field. He's driving away. He's cooking those tires for all it's worth. But it's interesting right here to see what we see is the fact that we see King kind of looking human here at this moment. Andrew Freenage slipping back to Jaron Wymaster and Michael Araya. Not too sure if this is maybe just Freenage kind of like laying under the radar thinking, hey, I'm going to fool these guys into thinking that I'm not as fast as them. Let's show something at the end.
Yeah, Freenage could be in trouble because Widemaster, Lariah, both able to get around him. If that 5 of Tice and the 4 of Silver, even the 12 car there, Ross Cato, do the same. It is a very quick drop to being outside of the top 10 already. Of course, you can identify those Championship 4 cars by those red banners on them. There's a good look as they go through the lower bank side of the racetrack down in 1 and 2. But to help you out, they're also highlighted in red on the left of your screen on our KListSynthetics.com race leaderboard. 27 laps going to be down this time by. Bowie's still pulling away. I find that interesting because he was good, top 10 in practice, top 5 in qualifying, but you know, didn't show anything like this. So maybe race pace, and really the emphasis should be on that second word, right? Pacing yourself may be the big storyline as to why Bowie's checking out from everybody else. His advantage now almost already at 2 whole seconds over that 3-way championship fight between King, Phillip, and Danson for B2 on back. I mean, look at the advantage this 34 car is driven away to.
Now that 34 has just checked out so far, but he has got to be careful that he doesn't find himself caught out on bad rubber later on in this race. And in fact, still got some other drivers that are not contending for a championship. Started to mix it up with the title drivers. There goes Michael O'Brien. The Sim Speed Shop Chevrolet just worked his way by the Logitech GLTC Sports machine of Matt Danson and is now pressuring the back end of Agnell Phillip. So we're continuing our way through what is now the longest run so far this race, and Lariah is on the move. He started back in 11th place. He's now up to 4th and is now pressuring the 94 car for 3rd.
Yeah, but this kind of reminds me of, you know, you're at the racetrack, you're drinking your Mike's Hard, and then you run out of Mike's Hard, right? Then you start to fall back a little bit, and you get that second gust to win, and you're like, maybe I should drink some Jack. And you go up there, you're taking a couple shots. Well, then you just fall on your face, and we might see that with Brandon Bowie right here. You know, he might have had one too many. Might have went for that fifth one. Man, my stomach hurts. I didn't eat nothing. I probably should have drank some water in between this. And then we'll see if really he's got the pace to keep up with these drivers. But maybe you could be the Kevin King. Had a couple water, maybe drank a Crown, kind of just sit down, did his own thing. But then he starts working his way back up here. And by the end, they both drank the same. But Kevin King turned out to be the one that could pace himself the best, and he drank responsibly.
I think Kevin King's hoping that he ends this one at the barn across the street partying, but I don't know, because he's also getting reeled in, and now 2 cars ahead, as now Michael Lariah has also been able to get ahead of King. Again, that changes nothing in the championship. He only has to finish as the highest finisher of those championship 4, but remember, this race started once upon a time with your championship drivers 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, they're still looking pretty good, but nowhere near that same level of control. They sit 3, 4, 5, and 7 on track right now, and Danson trying to get around Agnell Phillip, who has admittedly dropped a little bit off of Kevin King for the moment. Not that Kevin's comfortable with 4 car lengths, but that's the most we've seen between those two so far tonight.
Kevin King trying to apply some pressure here to Michael Lariah now, as Lariah has pulled out a little bit of a gap. You can still see Phillip trying to work to keep Danson behind. Danson still running strong, running his line, pushed up a little bit from the bottom, but that is more than likely just to try to dime it off that 38 car back to the bottom so we can try to push up to the back of the 94 and sweep his way on through. You've also got Jaron Wymaster that's tucked into the wings right behind these guys as well. And I imagine that Matt Danson can't be too pleased to have that pressure from behind him. Sooner or later, like all tracks, Phoenix among them, you got to get through the guy in front of you, or somebody's going to find their way through you first.
Yeah, and Evan, maybe I took a little shot at you for drinking Mike's Hard Lemonade. You know, you
Listen,
took a shot
man,
at my balls.
they sold out of it on Saturday. Mike's hits.
Listen, man.
I will stand by this statement.
We'll debate right from wrong, left from right, up from down. It is what it is, right? You drink Mike's. I'll stick with a dark bourbon somewhere down the road, but for a lot of these drivers here in the early part of this race, I kind of like the calmness. I know we saw 2 early cautions, and we've seen some drivers already, be retired from this race. We have, 18 on the lead lap, one car, 1 lap down. But the fact that we just see this single file, and also the fact that we're currently looking at, we started 1, 2, 3, 4 for these playoff drivers for the championship 4. We're sitting 3, 4, 5, and 7. We could potentially see a spoiler here in Brandon Bowie or Michael Lariah if this pace is accurate. Bowie's kind of fell off, but Lariah hasn't. Lariah has been consistent with his pace in the lap times he's put down. So very interesting to see that our championship 4 is not currently leading this race.
They get 18 cars on the lead lap right now. Only Braden Whitaker has gone to the garage so far, and Andrew Freenage trying to get one of those spots lost back. He'll go down to the inside of Jaron Widemaster. It's the battle for 6th and 7th. He's not going to clear him, though. By the time they get off of turn number 2, and Widemaster will lift and let him go. So the 4-pack has been reestablished, 3 through 6. Your championship cars, Kevin King's been the leader of those for the entirety of the now 38 laps complete so far.
And now we're seeing the field starting to string out a little bit around the Phoenix Raceway here. We're starting to see the longer run setups or the longer run drivers, say, not the setups, coming into play. It's hard to have long run setup when you're all on the same setup here in comparison to somebody else, but you still see everybody is now really kind of letting this track come into play. They're letting their own rhythm kind of dictate how things are going to pan out at the moment. Nobody's really making any of these desperate moves, and you don't need to make those moves right now. You've still got over 100 laps left to run. There's no need to be throwing it up the inside of somebody. You can save those types of moves for later on in the event tonight. And so far, Brandon Bowie, I mentioned he wanted to make sure he wasn't caught out on bad tires when he got onto the 1.7-second lead. Well, that gap down to 3/10, and it is closing fast. Burned all the stuff up early on, and now he is consistently running about 2/10 slower than everybody else behind him.
Yeah, Nolan, I honestly can't wait to see potentially a late race caution, and then we'll see somebody as desperate as I was trying to find a date for prom. Somebody will sail it down in there, maybe wash up the racetrack. Who knows? Maybe we see contact for the championship, something we didn't see yesterday. Lariah is easily going to clear this lead right here over Brandon Bowie. He has fallen like a rock in a pond, and those lap times are kind of proving it. We'll see the rest of these leaders start to swallow him up real quick, but this race, it's going to come down to who's more aggressive and who wants it more. And currently at the moment, it's a non-playoff driver that wants it more, as Lariah leads for the first time tonight.
We kind of thought when Bowie checked out, I remember I said pace was the big thing. Is that sustainable? And it comes up being true. He pushed the car hard early, and he is really struggling now. The 29 car fast on the scene. We're able to a lapped car, so not for position in all of this. King has been able to get around that 34 of Bowie. Agno Phillip going to be able to do the same. And now we're able going to have to be careful here as the faster car coming back from that incident earlier in this race tries to get by some big names, wants to go to the inside of Kevin King. Bit of a miscommunication there, but he gets through cleanly, and I'll check up King for just a tad bit. So now that Lariah was the driver to rocket to the front, was that Lariah pushing, or was that simply just the massive fall off we've seen out of Bowie, right? Who's going to have the better long run pace? Kevin King makes his bread and butter doing that. Andrew Freenosh makes his bread and butter doing that. And Terry mentioned earlier, Nolan, that that's what Agno Phillip was real good at racing last night in officials. So I can't give an upper hand. I can't bookmark or handicap any of this on a long run, because when you have the best drivers in the Final Four, they're going to be the best drivers at all those key aspects, and they are still stuck together and seemingly have real good pace right now, very even as they run second, third, fourth, and fifth.
You have to wonder if they're going to stay like this, though, as we get closer and closer to green flag pit stops. You have a feeling that at this point, you know, they're a bit close because pace dictates that they have to be, but once those pit stops come into play, that's where we really start to see, you know, who's got the better strategy. I think if this goes green from here, this will end up being a really, really huge strategy race, especially with where you have to enter pit road here. You do cut a little bit of turns 3 and 4 when you go around through pit road here, so you do have to kind of pick your moment a little bit wisely here. You want to make sure you can optimize your pit stops. It's such a unique pit road as to where it is, as Kevin King's going to sweep easily by Michael Araya, whose pace now started to drop up as well. Phillip's going to take full advantage of this as well. So pit stops, I think, are going to be playing a massive factor if this goes green as to how this title fight will pan out.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last night on the broadcast that there's 3 phases to this whole race, and obviously last night was double the amount of laps here. It was 312, so every phase was different. This one, the phases are a little bit smaller, but it's the same way of winning a football game or a baseball game, where you have to be great all over. You have to be good on pit roads. You have to be good on the racetrack. You have to be good on the short and the long run. You can't just go out here and burn the tires off like we saw with Brandon Bowie. I mean, he's 2.5 seconds back now in only about 5 laps from getting past for that race lead. Same thing with Michael Araya. He's fallen back a tad bit, but every single phase has to be executed flawlessly. You can't struggle in one part of the run and then hope to make it up in another part, unless we get that short run towards the end and you see somebody just go full bonsai. But at the moment, the tire-saving guy all season long has been Kevin King. I mean, he's won, 8 times? And all of those, he has came back and just stretched the field as the race progressed. He never really just had to win on a short run.
A lot of people were real surprised to hear that we talked about all those race wins that Kevin King had gotten, that had only put him 8th on the all-time list for most wins in a season. It tied it with Andrew Freenosh from 2020. So every Andrew Freenosh title year has evolved to 8 or more race wins. If Kevin could win it tonight, he'd tie Andrew Freenosh, this time for 6th at 9. The best season of all time in series history, Andrew Freenosh back in 2019 when he won 15 13 races. It's half of them all, but domination like that is not new to RSR competition. Dwayne Vincent won 13 times back in 2013. That same year, Chad Cole won 11 of them. So 25 of the 30 some odd races were won by 2 drivers back in 2013. So it is not a watering down of the competition level by any means. When you're on it, you're on it. And there has been a great battle among some of the very best we've ever seen in this series this year. But the 2-car now, Sam Nieto, another lap machine, trying to stay out of the way of the race leaders. He is faster than they are on better tires and trying to get around Freenosh, the lowest of the playoff cars here, and he'll go down to the inside and use the dogleg to buy some time. That's always the fun part when you get to a race like this in this format, is how aggressive and how do those non-playoff cars walk the line between being competitive for the race, but obviously not trying to get in the way of the championship, as Freenosh going to take a peek to the inside of Danson.
I think part of what opened the door here for Freenosh is going to throw to the inside was San Diego getting up and by Danson in the dog like this last time by. Now Danson going to push to the back bumper of the number 88 car and trying to see if he can cross him back into turn 1. Freenosh leaving that door open. Dan's going to try to stick the nose in, but doesn't look like he's got the speed on the bottom to make that stick. As hard as he might try, it's not going to happen. Freenosh will hold that from the outside line, and he has just secured view number 4. Now Michael O'Reilly stands in his way before Agno Phillip, who's good at the moment, about 6-7 car lengths up the road.
Yeah, to see these two battling right here, I don't think you can count them out, even though they're 2 seconds back off the race lead. I think if we get that last minute crazy caution that we didn't get to see yesterday in the Cup Series, it's anybody's game. I mean, they get around Michael Araya here, in which I think they will, because if Freenosh just caught him pretty quick, and Danson's right there ready to capitalize as well. But I look up here at our battle for the lead. I mean, 6/10 starting to stretch a little bit. These two had ran almost identical lap times. It was a 29.1 there for Kevin King and a 29.25 for Agnell Phillip. They've, at some point in times, were flipping the script on each other. One was running this, one was running that. They wasn't necessarily just pulling away from each other until Sam Nieto got up here and made that pass on Agnell Phillip. He started slowing down his pace. But if you're picking favorites at the moment, kind of got to circle those two up top as the ones that we could potentially see be the ones that everybody's got to beat and catch. But there's Freenosh, P3. He's still kicking.
He made the move on Lariah, and based on the backward trend from Lariah after he was able to go up front and lead 5 laps in this one, I would expect that Danson's going to be doing the same shortly. Flashes a nose to the inside in 3. Lariah didn't yield it quite yet, and now Danson going to be able to get underneath at the end of lap 56. He'll cut down at the dog leg. Danson will drive up to 4th, and no more than, 10-15 laps removed from us saying, look at all the spoilers in the mix. Order has been restored. Your championship 4 cars running in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Kevin King and Agnell Phillip pulling away by a little bit atop Freenosh and Danson, although you can see Freenosh chipping in to the intervals on those KaylaSynthetics.com leaderboard, less than 2 seconds off of Kevin King, who continues to lead this Get Wet Sports 250K.
And now you can see King starting to pull that gap. And this is one thing that Kevin King has been doing so expertly all season long. And it's what nets him races as well. It's what's netted him 8 wins so far on the season. It is his uncanny ability to find speed in the later runs. He always takes it easy, and he even sacrifices positions in the early going of the race because he knows it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And at the moment, Kevin King is taking, once again, full advantage of that fact, and he is now pulling out to a 3/4 of a second lead because Phillip just doesn't have the tires to keep up with him. Last time by, almost a 10th quicker than the 94. He's going to be even quicker this time around, and Sam Nieto, well, pulling away from him because he's got fresh rubber on. That's just fine, though, for Kevin King. It's one less car he's going to have to worry about. This time by, a 369, the 29-second bracket, exactly 1/10th off for Agnell Phillip. Kevin King has that long run pace. He sacrifices that time early on, only to gain it all back and then some later on in these runs. And once again, he is pulling off this exact same strategy, just at a different venue. And it is what has netted him this lead and what could very well bag him a championship.
Weirdly enough, right, Andrew Freenage was faster than our race leader. So throwing that one out there, that last time by, it was Kevin King up by 6/100ths of a second and 8/100ths over Agnell Phillips. So all three are holding very fast, long-run pace. There's some smoke. That's Danson. He's on pit lane. He had to lock her down. I could have almost got a pit road speeding penalty for that one. But first domino to fall in our green flag pit stops is the driver that was running fourth, last of our playoff four. Comes down pit road, maybe trying to flip this switch, and he's going to be running 27-second lap time, so he's going to be 2 seconds faster than this field. As here comes Agnell Phillip, he's going to come down and make his way down pit road.
Seems like a reactionary move at a spinner. Lariah blocking the pit road entrance. As he got loose, there is no yellow, and thankfully, none of your championship 4 cars were trying to pit behind him because he had that thing blocked, straightens it out. He'll get on the pit lane regardless. Danson going to be in and out of pit road, 46.9 seconds on pit road, a speedy 14.9 in the box. Agnell Phillip now also in for service. It is a long pit road here at the Phoenix Raceway that's going to cost you at least a lap, if not more. Phillip getting the left sides on the car as well. He's going to spend a total of 14.9 in the box as well, and a 46.6 on pit road. So better than Danson, but where do they blend out? He'll pull up onto the racetrack ahead of Danson. So, of those who pitted, Phillip ahead of Danson, and now they're going to start to make up a lot of time on fresh rubber over Kevin King and Andrew Freenage, still out there in first and second.
It seems really, really early for these guys to be pitting on just the 65th lap of the race. If by that logic, unless they can really make it to the end, it would look as though they would have to pit it once more at about lap 120 at this point in time, considering we've already had 2 cautions. I thought we'd be seeing people pit closer to around halfway. Now, Terry, I'm, of course, not a fuel strategist guy. I am notorious, in fact, among my friends for getting fuel strategies wrong all the time. Do you reckon this will be a 2-stopper, or were you just seeing an unusual strategy of trying to go for an extreme undercut here?
The hell makes you think I'm good at math? I suck at this. I just follow the numbers. I follow the digits on the side of the screen. I don't know nothing about math. I mean, you got to make your bed and sleep in it. You're sitting there, you're 3rd and 4th in the championship 4. Hell, do something different. I like it. We're kind of single filed out. We could potentially go caution free to the end. Go out here and put these 20. It was a 27.7. That was 2 seconds faster than Kevin King and Andrew Freenage. I mean, yeah, you lost a lap, but who cares? If you drew them in, you won. Like, if you sucked them into your strategy, then at the end of the day, you did exactly what you wanted to do. If a caution comes out, oh well, you were 2nd, 3rd in the championship. Big deal. You take the wave around, you get smoked for a second, you hope for that quickie yellow that's going to come out. Why not? I mean, they're going to pass him. I mean, let's be honest here. You're 2 seconds faster. You're going to get your lap back. And then you just pray for a spin. Could that happen? Probably. Will it? Maybe not. All we got to do up here, Evan, you say the magic C words. Nolan, you say it, I'll say it. And then a caution's going to come out. See, I started the trend, so you can blame me as they're already there fighting Kevin King for that lap back.
I've jinxed it too many times. You're not going to catch me saying it is Agnell Phillip. I've learned Agnell Phillip's going to go underneath race leader Kevin King. He's going to unlap himself. That process is going to continue. The other battle in all of this, of course, is that team championship, and it is heavily skewed in favor of Flat Out Motorsports as they run. The team championship works where the top 3 cars for each team score points towards the team championship. That way, a team with 3 cars can compete against a team with 6 cars, right? Your top 3 count for points. Well, there are only 3 cars here tonight from Keep It Real Esports 1, and Chris Rabel was involved in that accident accident early, so he's going to be one of their counting positions down in 21st. That's not good, as Matt Danson now unlaps himself on the outside of race leader Kevin King. So as things stand, flat out in the driver's seat for the team championship, with Grant Davis 4th, Bradley Burke 13th, and Michael Araya in 14th position. Those are the big names to watch for. That also secures a nice trophy. It doesn't pay more than the Drivers' Championship like you see in the Cup Series in Formula One, but a little bit of extra hardware never hurt on the shelf, and flat out has the upper hand in that other battle that we were looking at. Speaking of fuel, I always thought the number was somewhere 85 to 90, so 95 to go seems pretty bold. Maybe they think they can save. There's going to be no doubt that King and Freenosh could make it to the end from this point on, or whenever they decide to come down to the pit lane. So it'll be real interesting to see, is that the number? And if it is, does it require saving, or do they somehow think that they can do 2 stops and to make up that much time? We saw Chase Elliott kind of try something similar in the Cup race yesterday, pitted when everybody else stayed out. That kind of ended up as a net wash. He only saved time on fueling the car for later in the race. I don't think that'll apply here on the sim. So you take a look at the last pit stop lap, and nobody inside of those top 6 have come down pit road, whereas Phillip and Danson on fresh tires are going to start picking their way through the field. We'll see how much progress they actually make.
Currently, King sits 3.3 seconds ahead from Andrew Freenosh. Phillip and Danson have both gotten themselves back on the lead lap, which is not good news at the moment for Michael Johnson if he wanted to stay out in front with this race lead. But again, this is another tactic he's done. All of Kevin King's opponents, when it comes to pit stops, they always try to undercut him. But Kevin King, he always goes for a really big overcut because he knows he'll have all the tires in the world and to run them down after the fact. At this point in time, we are about halfway, almost, in this race. Once we hit lap 78, we will be at halfway. At that point, you can guarantee come down and make it to the end of this race. I'd say you can even come down now, and you'd be safe to go all the way until the end. There you saw Michael Araya unlap himself from Andrew Freenosh. Now, one thing I like about what the 88's doing here, he knows Kevin King's playbook by now. He knows he's going to go long. I wonder if Freenosh is going to try to see if he can maybe go longer than Kevin King to see if he can go for a double overcut here.
I think this is all for nothing. I think we're going to get a caution here. You're seeing a lot of people mixing the strategies. You see faster drivers catching up. What you also see right here is the fact that Agnell Phillip jumped up to 7th. Well, while Matt Danson's still sitting back there at 11th. He really hasn't made that pass work yet and put the fresh tires to use. But if you look at the, your lap times over here, if you look at what Agnell Phillip's putting down, he's only putting down a 28.3. Well, he's only a second now. I mean, he's already lost a second of his pace compared to that of Kevin King at the moment. So it's kind of all for nothing because they're going to come out. They'll have the race lead for maybe 10 laps, and then it's going to go back and cycle back to its normal, setting is what we see right now. If we stay green, I think that's going to be the biggest key. I still feel like we're going to get a caution at some point in time here. It's just there's too much strategy playing out here on this racetrack for it not to be. As Kevin King's loose there with who is that behind him? The 95 of Burke. He was behind him, got him loose. That's a product. Old tires becomes wrecking loose when you get up on the back bumper.
We saw that when drivers pushed early in a run, they went out to an early race lead, lost the tires for the second half, dropped the back. You'll see it with this pit strategy, right? The early pit stops for Phillip and Danson, going to give them the speed upper hand, but then when the other cars pit, they're going to drop back down. That's a little bit of Newton's third law for you, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Couldn't tell you what the first 2 laws are, but the third one seems pretty important, and we'll apply the pit strategy in this race. And you might think Phillip and Danson are making good headway. They are in 5th and 7th, but still 12 seconds off of the race lead. That's the big thing to keep in mind. They would love to be able to catch those race leaders without King and Freenosh pitting. Then you could get a bonus stop in. But again, I just don't know if it's going to get that far. But I like this, right? I mean, those 4 were real close. And then right when things started to look like Kevin King was asserting his dominance, right? Pulling away a little bit. Right now, 3.6 ahead of Freenosh. They said, listen, we're not going to beat him straight up. We need to mix it up. And Brandon Bowie going to come down pit road. He'll have 19 laps in this race. And he'll pit basically right on the money here at halfway home in the Get Wet Sports 250K.
So Bowie is in. Jaron Weimaster just bailed out as well from the 4th position. That moves now Agnell Phillip up to 3rd, who is now only 11 seconds behind Andrew Friedosh and Kevin King. You have to imagine that Kevin King will be coming on down here in very short order. If he lets himself get out too far in front, he's going to risk going a lap down when he comes down for his pit stop. And while I know Kevin King can do some incredible things, making up an entire lap this late in the race just on pace alone, I don't think that's going to happen, especially if there's a caution. At the moment, if this pays off for Kevin King, he would need a caution. That would essentially allow him to stay out in at least on the lead lap. But if he comes down into pit road here and goes down that lap, he's going to be in a really, really bad position because everybody else is going to be able to get on the same cycle, and then he's got to fight his way up through the field, potentially twice.
Listen, my dad didn't teach me much, but he taught me 2 very important things. One, if you want something sweet, you mix lemons and sugar. If you want something that's bold and out there, you mix about a half a cup of vodka with a little bit of lemonade, and then you got a real rager on your hands. I'm not counting Kevin King out. I think that's the 3rd thing I'll teach myself. I don't count that guy. We watched him at Las Vegas and Texas. Come down, I thought his strategy was dumb. I said, that's the stupidest thing I've seen across the board. You're not making that time back up, and I'll be danged if he didn't go out there and drive to the front, pulled a 5.5-second lead on this field, and just walked the dog with them. Didn't care nothing about anybody's feelings, and coming here and goes, yeah, I'm ready for the championship race. I'm good. Sign me up. I think he can do whatever he wants at this moment. He's got the pace. He's got the smarts. He's still one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack on these old tires. And I don't think he's hiding it. I think he's out here. He's showing these drivers that he'll pull away from whatever he wants.
Nick Silver over the radio says that he'll be coming down to pit road. There is no surprise there. Fastest car of the playoff drivers is still Agnell Phillip, guys, and all of a sudden Phillip within 6 seconds of the lead. Now again, he's going to have to get all the way there, right? If Kevin King and Andrew Friedosh were to pit now, it's nothing gained for Phillip and Danson because you were about 2 seconds behind previously, and well, 6 seconds behind's a net loss. But if they don't pit soon, guys, and you get Phillip and Danson there, the interesting thing at that point is going to be, again, they could take a second pit stop on this run while King and Friedosh are taking a first, and they could be in it. But all King and Friedosh have to do is pit before those cars get to them to then force the issue of do you stay out or do you not. And Agnell Phillip now on the inside of the 88 of Friedosh. He is through, and Phillip on the alternate strategy is now in 2nd place.
And closing fast on Kevin King the last time by. Your friend over there, Agnell Phillip, we're talking about a second quicker, 1.3 seconds faster at the moment than Kevin King. He is going to be right there within the next 2 or 3 laps here, and now is when Kevin King really starts to worry, because at this point in time, remember, you spend about 45 seconds down on pit road. This has already been established. Kevin King is going to absolutely go a lap down here when he comes down pit road. He's got to really hope that something goes his way, like Agnell Phillip having a pit twice, which we oh no, he spins it!
Kevin King is sideways and a caution has come out. He wanted to pit. He saw Agnell Phillip coming, and he spun the race car coming to pit road. Let's take a look on board. The yellow almost saves him here. He gets sideways. The yellow comes out. And then at this point, pit road is closed, so he has to go around it. And now, with everybody inside of the fuel window, it is Agnell Phillip leading amongst your championship 4. I cannot believe what just happened with Kevin King, guys, and let's watch pit stops now underway. Doesn't matter if you pitted already or not, they are all headed down pit road, and Kevin King last of the championship 4.
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, Kevin King was the biggest driver that benefited out of that, and he's the one that spun it on the transitioning. The advantage he's got is the fact that he's not the only one to have done that so far all race long, but it's not the best of looks, you have to admit. I mean, that he was about to be passed and now he's going to be finding himself well back up on the lead lap and now in sight with everybody else. This has just opened up a huge can of worms in your championship fight, as Kevin King will now be more than set to stay on the lead lap. Phillip will obviously be coming down to take tires, as will Danson. Just like that, your top four are brought right back together nose to tail. Even more crucial, Kevin King has not taken responsibility for the self-spin so far.
That was the greatest strategy ever. If that's what he was playing.
He's lucky the yellow came out. And I think he wanted to pit when he did, because again, once Agnell gets to you, once Danson get to you, if they're past you and you start pitting, that's going to be a net loss, right? That was going to be his pit stop to the end of the race. And then he spins it. If the yellow doesn't come out there, Kevin King is done. I mean, that's way too much time. So he is lucky by the yellow flag coming out. And because of that, he gets to stay with the other championship four, but of course the lowest he's been amongst them all night. He's down in 4th position. So that is a big mistake and a saving grace all in one, because I think Kevin King was playing the strategy he wanted. He was waiting to come down to the pit lane until he got caught. I think that's what he wanted to do, but I do not think it makes sense in Kevin King's strategy to want that spin. And the big thing to keep in mind, guys, of course, is that if you are involved in an incident, you have the opportunity to claim the caution, right, and avoid the post-race review, or you can simply not claim it. It seems pretty obvious here that Kevin King is not going to claim responsibility for the yellow. That's going to be an easy post-race review, but he has 0 penalty points coming into this race, right? So courtesy of being a clean driver so far this year, he's going to get 2 penalty points. That's nowhere near the 6 that would disqualify his results. Now, if the 31 is involved in any way in a second incident, well, that could put you to the 6 that would DQ you for the night. So it is a bit of a risk, but because Kevin King has had such a clean season, he has the liberty to intentionally not claim this yellow to keep his track position. That's all fair game in the rules.
Now, I'm not saying that he spun intentionally. I just think that if I have a strategy, I want a strategy of luck. You know, that was the luckiest caution you're going to see in a championship bid. And if he wins the championship, based off of going up here and winning this race, you circle that lap and go, that saved him. Because if he didn't get that caution from spinning right there, done. Like, race over, you're at the back of this field, you're a lap down, you're probably sitting there praying that somebody else wrecks. But that right there was a championship saving moment. And if we had Allstate as a sponsor up here, he was in good hands right there.
Lights out on top of the base car. This race begins anew with your championship 4 now all on the same strategy and 65 laps to decide it. Green flag in the air. Great job for Agnell Phillip, your race leader.
And already Agnell Phillip out to a big jump. It was not the best of starts with the outside line. Andrew Friedrich did not get going what Agnell Phillip did. So now it is about a 4-car length gap between Danson and Phillip as we hit the back straightaway. King looking for the inside, dives it in on Andrew Friedrich. All of a sudden, King is not wanting to wait around. And I have a feeling your championship contenders aren't about to really cut him any slack here.
Nah, I mean, why would you? You got him right there. This is the furthest he's been all race long. I mean, put him in second, that's the lowest he's been. Caution comes out. Michael Johnson's hard in the wall up there on the outside. A couple other drivers, I think the 70 of Harry Grindell was involved in that too. As we take a look at the replay here, you see the 70 and the 95. Might have been this. Oh, Grindell.
That was very similar to what we saw in lap 2 with Michael Johnson.
Carbon copy. It's that one little spot in the dog leg. Once again, we saw this happen earlier, and it was the exact same situation. That back diffuser hit a bad bump. It bottomed out, picked the back end up, around he goes as if you're on a skid board. Cody Harris and Jared Weimaster, along with Bradley Burke, all left with absolutely nowhere to go. And Harry Grindell did take responsibility for the incident, a very easy one at that. It was a self-inflicted incident that caused another big wreck on the night.
Something else to note is that William Schmidt was going to be given a pass-through penalty on pit road for a lane change violation. Very easy to do here at Phoenix, dropping below the apron before the start-finish line. That penalty was issued immediately as the yellow came out, so instead of a drive-through, which would have cost him significant track position, that's now just going to become an EOL. Again, Schmidt not involved in the battle for the driver championship or the team championship, but just to note, 79 car going to be going to the rear.
I mean, we saw Kevin King get lucky. William Schmidt got a lucky break there too. It's good to see the drivers that aren't racing for the championship still out here racing. I know a lot of people are excited for the Winter Series coming up. I'm rather excited for the Winter Series. You know, if a scrub like me can still call the races, I'll come out here and call them. But if you want to scrub on the racetrack that would bring out a guaranteed caution, sign me up, my man. I'm here any day of the week. You need the guaranteed yellow, but. So far, I mean, I'm up and down the board looking at some of the bigger movers, I guess. You look at Joseph Tice right here in the 5 machine in the 5th place position. Hold the banner pretty strong here for that machine. Doing a good job for the first car non-playoff driver up here. Obviously, everybody 4th on back. Not our 5th on back, not non-playoff people. But it just shows the dominance of the top 4 the whole season is... Well, there they are. Ta-da! And they're the fastest again.
Still trying to process how we've gotten to this point and how quickly this race changed in the last 20 laps or so. Mentioned earlier, Grindle did claim responsibility for the incident, so he'll also get an end of the longest line to penalty. I don't think Agnell Phillip really wanted that yellow there because he had gotten such a good jump. Andrew Freenach was really afraid of being ahead of the 94 on the restart due to the new restart zone procedures. And of course, if the non-lead car is ahead, that would be an iRacing penalty, which could not be cleared by race control. That is something he would have to serve. So he hung like a whole car length back, much to the chagrin of Kevin King. But Andrew was saying, listen, I just don't want to risk the penalty. It's not worth it for me. And it was a real good jump for the 94 car. That's all going to be washed away. And Kevin King will not be behind a timid Andrew Freenach. He'll be right on the bumper of the 94 of Agnell Phillip. And I mentioned it's easy to get that lane change violation here at Phoenix, guys, because you got to wait till the line here before you can go to the apron. You don't want to get Ross Chastain. Don't do what the 9 car did. Check your mirrors before you pull down.
Lights out aboard the iRacing safety car. It'll be green flag with 59 laps to go. And once again, just like the start of the race, Phillip, Danson, King, and Freenach. Mentioned you were having a hard time trying to figure out how we had gotten to this point, Evan. Welcome to what Terry and I's life was the entirety of the Martinsville race. It was literally just that constantly. And Terry, I think we're in for we're in for a good show tonight to wrap this thing out.
Well, my head hurt after that Martinsville race. You definitely missed a headache there, Evan.
I had to race control it, so I still it was part of it. Didn't have to talk through it, though. So Martinsville is always a wild one. Phoenix, always a good sign here for the championship as well. Let's see what happens this time. There are 59 laps left in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series season. Agnell Phillip again takes the green flag. Side by side for second. King to the inside on Danson for P2.
King to the inside. The conservative side is gone. The boosted 31 is trying to see if he can put himself up into the race lead once again, right where he was when he forced the yellow flag as he spun out, coming to pit road. Now, King up to second place and clear from Matt Danson. Trying to close up to the back end of Agnell Phillip here, the number 94 car, trying to see if he can just hang on and use that short run space that Phillip is known for to pull a gap.
And just like an Almond Joy, I've got nothing. I'm eating an Almond Joy. But I don't feel it hold this lead. Kevin King. Can he do it? I mean, can Agnell Phillip hold him off? We haven't seen very many people do it. How hard are you going to have to drive if you're Agnell Phillip? Are you going to have to burn the tires up like Brandon Booby did? I mean, he just threw a blistering lap down. Fastest lap of the race with a 27.46. If that tells you how bad Agnell wants this championship, and he doesn't want that 31 boosted machine to pass him, I think that lap time, he was 0.2 faster than the field. that A51 Pro machine, he's hot and ready to go, like a pizza.
And this time by goes from fastest on track to sixth best. Best time now as the timing and scoring will update through. Agnew Phillip again occupies the top spot. Kevin King third fastest. So maybe things growing, in fact, little by little, in favor of the 94 car up front. The other question is, if these two push each other to drive hard early and we get this run in, 60 some odd laps is a healthy run. You're going to run into tire deg. These cars are going to lose time in the long run. And if there's going to be a little bit of patience out of Matt Danson third, out of Andrew Freenosh down in fifth, as Joseph Tice has been able to pass him, that'll be notable as well. So you can't give it all up right here.
You certainly can. You still have to be able to kind of wrangle some of yourself together here, and I think that's what we're seeing come into play here big time as we'll continue to observe these drivers in their runs as the race goes along. So far, Agnew Phillip and Kevin King are both trading blows on the lap times here. It's a couple hundredths here for Phillip, then a couple hundredths back for Kevin King. Last time by, it was a tenth and a half for the team number 31, and both of these drivers are now extending the gap over Matt Danson. Neither driver is slowing down. Neither driver is wanting to give an inch at the moment. Both these guys pushing about as hard as they possibly can. Right on cue. It's another 10th game that time by for Phillip over Kevin King. It's like they're almost training, the lap times here. It's like, you take the fastest line. Now I want you to have this one instead.
Well, since they're going for a belt M&P, we'll get a little wrestling references. With these two going down with 53 to go, it's kind of like Austin versus The Rock in WrestleMania, or Hogan Rock in WrestleMania 17, or Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 2. You get the point. This is the battle we wanted to see. This is what all the people tuned in all season long, they wanted to see in these 29 races coming to this one, because they wanted to see the best of the best come out here and compete for it. But right now, you're seeing it. I mean, right now you kind of have it here. Obviously, you see Joseph Tice, he's broke that Andrew Freenosh spot up. But no disrespect to Andrew Freenosh, has he really been there all season long? Like, looking at him here in the Championship 4, if you had to cap, break these up and bracket them off, cautions out, and now we're really about to see some hate because everybody better bring their carcasses to pit road.
And the yellow is, in theory, behind your race leaders, trying to find the exact cause of it. The 43 car is on pit road. Maybe him, possibly hearing Eric Papanow, and it was the number 37 car. And for the third time tonight, it'll be a self-spinner in the dogleg. Papanow much more clearly rode that transition. Watch, he's going to go over the yellow line. So left side tires on the flat, right side tires on the bank of the dogleg. Not the way to do it. Here's the end result. Got to commit either way, and that was a quick loop for the yellow flag.
We have credit, though. He kept it out of the wall, just did a 360 spin, and then kept that thing going. Kevin King is into pit road. Now, this is big because you've got a good chunk of drivers that stayed out. So Kevin King's going to be on some fresher rubber here, as will Andrew Freenosh, who is also down to the lane. The other two contenders, though, Phillip and Danson, will line up 1-2, are not. And they're going to have about half your field, or actually probably close to about a third of the field, that will have a buffer zone between them and the other title contenders here. So this is getting once more very intriguing. Now it's again the strategy game. It's a bold call to put so many cars between yourselves and your title opponents, as William Schmidt will get the lucky dog. But do you reckon this could potentially play off? I mean, we've seen what that number 31 car can do on fresh rubber.
They ain't listen. They ain't listen to me. They are turning this up. They all should have pitted. They all pit, because now it's 100. We're on 107. They pitted on lap 88. Now you do the math. They're a second faster. There's your math. They're going to come charging through this field. I mean, Kevin King's going to start 7th. The only thing that's theoretically, the only thing that's going to keep those two of Andrew Freenosh and Kevin King come back up here is if somebody 3rd to 6th spin in front of them. It's your only chance.
I think it's interesting as well, those drivers are going to have better tires, and a majority of the cars pitted, right? Only your top 6 stay out. Of course, Phillip, Danson, the 2 notables in the championship battle, because they stay out and are at the lead of the running order. But 20 lap better tires and 3 rows back, they're going to get them. I don't think there's any question. Kevin King and Andrew Freenosh are going to go to the race lead. Now, the big thing to remember here, guys, is that it was Agnew, Phillip, and Matt Danson who had pitted on the green flag run, caught back up to the race leaders when Kevin King spun, right? They all then pitted. Now that King and Freenosh have taken a bonus stop, both sets of 2 have used up 2 of their tires. So this doesn't have a huge implication as far as who's got anything left, because now all 4 of your championship cars have 2 full sets of 4 tires remaining. I think if this race goes green, it's a race-winning call for Kevin King and Andrew Freenosh. Likely King on top of those 2 from what we've seen now, but we'll wait to see how it circles out. But I like the decision.
It's one of those calls where you kind of have to take a gamble on, everybody else trying to follow suit behind you. And it looks like that, like you said, it has mostly paid off. Now, if King and Freenosh have been among the only drivers that have come on down and you had over half the field staying out, at that point, it's questionable. Can you work your way through over half of this field before your tires start to really fall off? And that has so far not been the case. They've only got 2 rows before they're back up with the title contenders. I think you're right. It's only going to be a matter of time before they're caught again. I'm giving it 10 laps.
Listen, with 46 laps to go, it's time to turn the Kenny Rogers on. Get you a nice cigar, sit down, prop your feet up, maybe pop some good old popcorn, and get ready to watch a knockdown, drag-out fight for a championship in RSR competition.
Pace car off it in. It is Agnew, Phillip, and Matt Danson on the front row, 22-lap-old tires. Watch for Freenosh and King on row 4. Fresh tires amongst your championship competitors. Agnew, Phillip wants the inside again. It is another beautiful restart for the 94 car.
Phillip out to the lead. There goes Kevin King. Way to the inside. 3 wide with Harris and Weimeister down to turn number 1. Harris trying to find the middle as Joseph Tice tries to look up the inside as well.
We got 3 wide right there. You see Cody Harris in the middle. He was involved in our first incident on the racetrack, but he's worked himself up to the 7th place position. He jumps in front of Cato. Well, welcome back to the party. It didn't take you long. You're sitting in 4th. Here comes Kevin King. He's going to work to the outside of Matt Danson.
Trying to get on the outside of Danson. Long way around as they go to the lower banked end of the racetrack. The wide sweeping turn number 1. Now through the exit off for turn number 2. Kevin King making the fresh tires work. He's up to 3rd. Still wants more. Now to the bumper of Michael Lariah in the battle for 2nd spot. Kevin King on the hunt to the inside for 2nd.
Inside line for 2nd place. It's not for a playoff spot. It's just for an on-track spot now. Kevin King is nothing between himself and Agnew Phillip. Now, Phillip is bound to know that King's got something like 20 lap pressure tires on him. How desperate is he going to be to try to fight to keep that position? I think at this moment, Agnew Phillip will be able to kind of stay out in front for about a lap or 2. But unless he's really willing to risk getting shoved up into turn number 3, he's going to be losing that spot here this lap or 2 here.
Heck no. Block like crazy. Make him earn it. Make him burn his stuff up. Scare him a little bit. Drive it deep in the corner. Make some friends. Ruffle some feathers. I mean, we got a turkey to pluck at some point in time in this month. So unlike the rest of the field, Kevin King just carved him like a good old turkey. He's there. The only person that kind of got punched in the face just a little bit was Adrian Freenosh. He did not get a restart like what Kevin King did. He got the outside lane, couldn't get to the bottom. It was all jumbled up back there. So using the fresh tires from him, he's got to get past Joseph Tice. He's got to catch all the way up there to Kevin King, who's already starting to stretch this out. It's 2 tenths, 3 tenths. They need a caution, and they need one probably about 10, 15 laps tires being used on these guys. Get a caution, then maybe see if Danson and Phillip come down pit lane.
Freenosh just hasn't gotten the restarts necessary tonight, and Again, it was very clear that Kevin King had the upper hand. I like the call for the tires, and now Kevin King, at 40 laps to go, has taken firm control of this championship once more. He has led now 66 laps on the afternoon. That has locked up the most laps led tonight, but again, the bonus points won't matter in terms of the championship 4 decision, because all that one comes down to is finishing spots on the racetrack. Freenach now gets ahead of Silver. Danson quickly slotted back. He's the lowest running of the championship 4 cars, now down in 8th position on the racetrack. And Phillips pretty impressive, hanging tight. But again, on the old tires, he was going to have a hard enough time mano-a-mano against King when they squared up on the last restart. I don't see anybody on this planet beating Kevin King when your tires are 20 laps older.
I mean, even just in general, it's so much harder to keep pace with somebody when your tires are, 20 laps older than the guys you're fighting it out with. And I think Kevin King will now be set to control the pace a little bit more. You saw how quickly he caught and passed Agnell Phillip, but now he's backed off a little bit. He isn't extending that gap anymore. And I think now Kevin King has put himself back into conserve mode here. He is, at the moment, not trying to extend the gap, but manage it. He wants to make sure that Phillip doesn't get closer, but he's more than content to allow him to stay where he is, because this means that Kevin King's not going to risk doing what Brandon Bowie did earlier in this race, which is burn up all of his tires and then fall victim to the faster guys later on.
Yeah, I think he might be sitting there thinking that if the caution does come out and he doesn't pit, he's trapped like a duck in a pen. He has no option in going out here and holding this race lead if it happens, if he doesn't save and conserve those tires. Much to the chagrin, you see Joseph Tice right there in that 3rd place position. He's just sitting there, not really charging the car. I'm watching his lap times. He's faster than Kevin King. Not by much, by 7/100ths of a second. That time he was a little slower. He's kind of just like plateaued. He's done what he has to do. He's just sitting there in 3rd, waiting, just slowly and methodically picking in on Agnell Phillips' lead on him. Maybe he's pulling the same strategy. Maybe he's thinking the same thing, that if the caution comes out, they're just going to stay out and hold the track position and see what the other guys do. But if you're Danson and Agnell Phillip at the moment, you kind of got to think, if you pit, how far do you fall? Do you fall like the goalpost in Tennessee and the Cumberland? Or do you fall like Alabama at the polls?
But I can tell you, Agnell Phillip would rather finish... How many cars we got here? 23rd? He'd rather finish 24th. He'd rather not even be on the score sheet tonight than finish in 2nd. He feels like he has finished 2nd more than anybody else in the last 2 seasons in Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series competition. He's done it a lot in the races this year. Certainly doesn't want to finish 2nd in the championship as the non-playoff contender. Joseph Tice sneaking his way through. Tice trying to represent and secure that team championship that we talked so much about for Flat Out Motorsports. Flat Out well in control of the team title with cars in 2nd, 4th, and 9th on the racetrack right now. Again, no change in the championship, though. Agnell still 2nd at best, but it is clear they are going to need a yellow. But we have been in this position many times before. You rewind back a couple of years ago, Andrew Freenach was written off in his hopes at continuing his championship run. This thing was locked up until a late race yellow changed the strategy. Freenach was the only guy with tires left in the end, cooked him on the last run, so you can never say never in Phoenix, but Kevin King has had a historic season, of course, trying to get what would be his 9th win of the year tonight. Only one driver of the 8 who have done it in series history, get more than 8 wins in a year, didn't win the title. That was Dwayne Vincent back in 2013. So you got like a 88% chance of being the champ, statistically speaking, if you can notch 8 race wins in a season. And Kevin King showing us how comfortable he is at Phoenix. He is gone.
1.9 seconds make that 2.1 seconds. Now the gap between Kevin King and Joseph Tice, it is 2.4 and growing between himself and Agnell Phillip. There you can see it's about a half a straightaway stretched out between the Flat Out Motorsports and Valvoline entrusted number 5 and the team numbers 31 up there at the front of this thing. And you can still see Agnell Phillip, unfortunately, about to get his wish on not finishing second this race in both the title and, in fact, the race. Bumping down to fourth here, there goes Andrew Friedrich, sweeping by to secure that second place. Now, Friedrich has been slowly picking up the pace more and more as the night's gone along. At the moment, he's matching the lap times that Kevin King is throwing down. I don't think he's going to be really able to run the 31 car down in just the 30 laps or so that he's got left, or 29 now at this point.
Evan, I tell you, you're like an encyclopedia. You're like a top-rated content library, just like our sponsor over there at Get Wet Sports. I don't think any of these drivers want to finish second. I know Kevin King doesn't want to finish second. I mean, 8 wins, numerous top fives, has just had a remarkable season. Not only in here, but in FTF, he's been good. He's in contender. He's on a bid to go back to Coke. There's a reason that this guy right here was in when it was the Peak Series. You know, he was the top of the top in iRacing. Former winner there. I mean, it shows you why he is one of the best of the best, and the fact that he has adapted so well to this next-gen car. When we've seen the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers not really adapt too well to it. You've seen a lot of the vets of that side get bumped back to contender because this car just it really wasn't their thing. I mean, I think of Ray Alfala got the win at Nashville, but other than that, he missed the playoffs, and that's the standard bearer. He's been the standard bearer for years in that competition and in that series. But this guy right here, if he doesn't make it out of contender, I'm going to be shocked. I would go right now anywhere on any social media platform and put $100 down and say that he's going to the Coke Series next year. Somebody's picking him up because, I mean, he's picking them up, putting them down, and he's walking a mud hole in a lot of these drivers right now, and he's done it all season.
Got more stats for you. There have been 221 different drivers to ever compete in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Only 11 of those drivers have more wins in that series than Kevin King. I mean, Kevin King is certifiably one of the very best. Of course, got those race wins, his first back in September of 2011 on the service. He was a 2-time race winner in the Coke Series in 2012. Snuck another race win in 2014. He has been a staple of the sim racing community, tied on the old-time wins list with names like Jimmy Mullis, Steven Wilson, Steve Sheehan, Derek Wood, Richard Taller, John Gorlinski. I mean, he has a place on the list of sim racing's very best, and competing here, putting down one of the very best seasons we've seen in Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series competition. Watching a fight between Joseph Tice and Nick Silver for third and fourth position. Silver's going to get the run off at turn number 4. He'll slice down to the inside. A couple of teammates here carrying the flag for Keep It Real Esports #1, trying their very best to hang on to the title fight. Silver the upper hand there, and now they've got a flat-out sandwich with Tice in between the two of them.
Nick Silver making that pass for the third position as Bowie's going to now be pressuring Tice for the 4th spot. Phil, meanwhile, has slipped back to 6th, while Matt Danson runs in a very lonely 10th place at the moment, leaving it just between the 88 and the 31 at the moment for that title fight. But again, 3.3 seconds between them, and that gap is still growing by about a few hundredths of a second every single lap. At the moment, Kevin King has not been able to allow Freenach to even get close to him. Freenach, I think, will have to be content to finish runner-up this season around. And this is something that we have really been waiting for. We even talked about this last season going in. Will that be the year where Freenach got knocked out? Answer was no. He picked up a first ever 4th-time championship, and now it looks like he will not be able to go for number 5. Despite all the luck that he had in Martinsville, he is going to be stuck in that 2nd place unless something really big happens to upset the running order here.
Yeah, and the thing is for all these drivers in the Final 4, there's just nothing to hang your hat on. I mean, walk-off win last week for Andrew Freenach. Matt Danson's had an absolute phenomenal season. I mean, picked up 2 oval wins. swept the road courses, minus the Roval. I mean, other than that, Agnell Phillip came out, won a race early, did what he had to do, stayed consistent across the board, didn't do anything outrageous, finished second a ton. I mean, the most consistent driver, other than Kevin King this whole season, has been the 94. That A51 Pro machine's been there. I mean, he's been every single week we talk to him, and it's like, I'm tired of finishing second. I'm tired of being the second best to this guy. And he's worked hard. He's been here putting consistent laps down. All four drivers are deserving to be in this position. Like, they didn't just, luck their way to the Final Four. They're very stout competitors. Not surprised to see all of them having success outside of RSR competition, having success in the NIS races, having success in the Road to Pro Series and in the Contender. A lot of their focus has been, outside of RSR, but they still come here and show up and show out. And I think that's what's most impressive about this series is if you take all of these drivers, a lot of them race in PRL, some of them race a lot of officials, some of them race Contender, some race Road to Pro. They go up the ladder in the eNASCAR world, and a lot of them go out and race GT3s as well. They're very diverse across the board, and I can't wait for next year. I think next year you're going to see a lot more. I think you're going to see a lot more winners, and I know that's crazy to think, but I think next year we're going to set a record for first-time winners in this series.
Saw a lot of names step up to the plate, a lot of first-time playoff appearances spread across the board in the championship this year. Kevin King, first time in the postseason. But Agnell Phillip, right? I mean, all of these guys, second time in the playoffs, first time at the championship 4. Danson, second time in the playoffs, first time at the championship 4. So even some of those bigger names taking steps. Harris made the playoffs for the first time this season, right? What could he do? Could he get that one round further? Would we do it all again in 2023? And then, of course, the other end of the conversation, guys, is as Kevin King looks to close this out, if he can, watching some of the action behind as Tice continues to slide down the running order, is the run that Andrew Freenosh has had, right? I mean, it has seemed to be untouchable for so long. The 4-time consecutive Cup Series champion. We had not seen a repeat champ ever in series history. Landon Huffman, Chad Cole, Eric Brundys, Dwayne Vincent, Scott Eckridge, David Comstock, all the title winners through 2017, and then Andrew Freenosh, 18, 19, 20, 21, racks up 4 of them in a row. That's in addition to a handful of more championships sprinkled in there with the Winter Series in 18, in 20, in 22. I mean, what he has done has been so impressive, and wasn't sure he was going to compete full-time this season. A funding package came together. Battle Beaver wanted him on the racetrack, and at times, guys, we questioned, could he make it to the round of 12, to the round of 8? And we saw vintage Andrew all the way here to the championship 4 one more time.
And now as we take it with just now 12 laps remaining, it looks like Freenosh, for all the strength that he has had so far throughout the course of this season, it looks like it might just be all or not here at Phoenix, as now there's an entire backstretch between himself and Kevin King. Kevin King just now crossing start-finish line. Freenosh hadn't even hit the Geico restart zone, and just there, Freenosh crossed start-finish line as well. There is so much space between the two of them, it's not even a joke at this point in time. Eric Papinel, meanwhile, just took 11th spot away from Harry Grindell. You've still got spots all across the field here that are still up for grabs for drivers not even in the point standings at the moment.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I just said a little prayer, and I was like, God, can you give us a caution? And all he said to me was, no. it was simply just said, no, we're not going to get a caution. This race is kind of what we, we can sit here and lie to each other. Kind of thought that this was going to be the outcome. Pretty sure we've said it for a couple weeks now that we thought the 31 was going to do his thing, but who knows? Maybe we'll get a long shot here and get a little short track racing.
Well, the good news is for Kevin King is he doesn't need to try to get on pit road again. Saw how that one worked for him a little bit earlier in the night.
Good zinger.
Seemingly messed up his strategy. Had to come back from 4th to 4 in the playoff car. Is really the decision for him that wins this race is the ability to make that pit stop. As Matt Danson seemingly slowed down in 13th position. He had a 3-second slower lap the last time around. Let's see what happened with Danson. This is coming down the back straightaway off of turn number 2. And a caution flag is out on the speedway. And it's Matt Danson.
Oh, boy.
I knew you would answer.
Danson had something happening with the car. He was about 3 seconds slower per lap. And it just went a little bit too far. And look at the wheel input, trying to catch it. Yeah, it just snapped on him. I don't know what happened with Danson. I don't know if he pushed it too far, but he started really struggling there late.
Prayers work.
Big hit to that outside wall, just pancaked it, and Jaron Wymaster scrambled when he hit the brakes and tried to save it. He clipped the front end of the 38 car as well. That was the caution Kevin King did not need. All of a sudden, that 4.5 second gap you had built up, absolutely gone with less than 10 laps to go. And we know how aggressive all these guys can be on a short run. This championship turned on its head as Kevin King makes the trip to pit road. Unsurprisingly, Freenage is in, as is Phillip, and Matt Danson in behind them as well. This is not a surprise. We expect everybody to be in, but we know one driver that will not be competing the rest of this race, Matt Danson. Broken tire on the right front. He will be out of the fight.
And here comes the money stop. Remember, Phillip has a couple of cars in between him and the leader, so it's going to be tough for him to compete as they head into the pit stalls. Clean entry for King. Clean entry for Freenage. Agno Phillip going to slot in right in the middle. They're racing to the cone. Right there, the green cone. That's going to be the race off of pit road. Now, Kevin King from pole. Look at the 94 go! Agno Phillip with nothing to lose. 2 tires. Wins the race off pit road. Kevin King decides to go for the 4. He is the lead car on 4 tires off. And another big development is that Nick Silver beats Andrew Freenage off pit road. So Andrew drops a spot to 4th.
Well, and just so I don't get in trouble for saying this, to quote my favorite ACD songs, who's got big balls? You've got big balls, and Agno Phillip's got the biggest balls of them all. 2 tires. I kind of thought somebody would try it, but what a Hail Mary throw.
Well, you can't ride the wall. That's against the rules. You can't ride the wall, so got to try something else.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work, but kudos for trying.
I mean, why not? I mean, like I said, you got to do something. You sit here and follow this leader all race long. If he takes 4 tires, Agno Phillip comes out, not there. So I gotta agree with old Tommy Morano out there. I can't say that, but holy poop. It's going to be the craziest finish we've seen in 2022.
You can see the number 29 leading the field. Rabel is a lapped car. He will get the wave around. That means that Agno Phillip, control car, can choose which lane he wants to go. But again, I think it's just going to be so difficult for him to try anything on the 2 tires. He's going to have to try to block, and that might open the door for Freenage. Freenage going to be lined up on row number 2. That's going to force him to the outside. He does not get to choose his lane positioning there. So things are certainly still in favor of Kevin King, but one last glimmer of hope, as seemingly you always have in these winner-take-all finales. The lights are out on top of the iRacing pace car. It'll be a 3-lap-to-go shootout with the Full Throttle Cup on the line.
I got something here. Last night's NIS finish, I watched that one machine. He went out there, 3 laps to go, did not take tires. He had a guy starting second that had 4 fresh good ones on it. He jumped, timed it perfectly, won the race. Here we are again. Authentic green, white, checkered. Agno Phillip was in that race last night. He learned something. He's trying to apply it right here. And this might be a batting 1,000. He might have a walk-off championship.
We're going to find out right here and right now the final 3 laps of the 2022 season. Championship hopefuls first, second, and fourth. It's Agnell Phillip on the 2-tire call to the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air, and it is a great jump for the 94. Silver side by side for second with Kevin King.
Kevin King's going to be spitting bullets right now. This is not at all what he can have happen. He's got to get Silver out of the way, and he's got to get him out of the way quickly. Phillip's going to be pulling away, and he cannot afford to have Silver blocking his path. King gets the crossover to the inside. He dives it in. Might just clear for second place off of turn number 4. 2 laps to go.
Yeah, he cleared it right there, but I tell you what, 2 to go. Nick Silver he ain't holding up. Nick Silver wants to win this darn race. He crossed back below it, but it's 0.3 of a second. He's got a gain on Agnell Phillip. This might be the championship move. 94 machine still leading it with the 1 to go. Going to be coming at him.
Kevin King faster with the 2 of them. If they get to the stripe, this race is official. Now the disadvantage for King, 2.5 car lengths. White flag in the air. Final time around at Phoenix. Agnell Phillip, Kevin King, both in search of their first RSR championships. Phillip's 2 tires hanging on one final time down the back straightaway. King is there to the inside. Push the bar. Agnell moves up. King to the inside. Side by
my God!
And it is Agnell Phillip who is the Full Throttle Cup champion in 2022.
Holy crap, what happened?
By 4/100ths of a second, Kevin King tried, and Agnell Phillip is the bridesmaid no more. Seemingly lost this race on a pit strategy call, then wins it with the 2-tire decision. Agnell Phillip is the 2022 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series champion, and Andrew Freenosh's 4-time undefeated streak ends in 2022 as Agnell Phillip celebrates in the 94. The driver for A51 Pro out of Chicago, Illinois, has done it.
You know, I said at the start of the season, this had the potential to be one of the most exciting one of the most exciting seasons in Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series history. I think this just validated just that. This has got to be one of the closest title fights this Cup Series has ever seen. We take a look again as they thunder down the back straightaway. King's got the run. He's got nothing to lose. Phillip has 1 chance. Throws the block. There was the bumper given. Then Kevin King tried to power off. Tagged the 94, but spun himself out, and that's what did him in.
That was the greatest. That was the greatest race I've ever watched. Like that finish was baller. The call was baller. He was tired of finishing second, and we talked about it earlier. You had to make a strategic move. It was going to come down to strategy. Nolan, you alluded to it. Evan, you said it too, that you had to win this race by being the gutsiest racer, by wanting it more. Agnell Phillip wanted it more. I'm sure he is sick and tired of finishing second. He was so tired of us talking to Kevin King after every single race and finishing second. I think 6 of his 8 wins, we talked to Agnell Phillip second. He damn sure didn't want to finish second in this one, and he walked it off on it. That was awesome.
It is win number 3 of the year. Agnell Phillip, an RSR champion. You take a look at your Get Wet Sports 250K full race results presented by Kalis Synthetics. It is Phillip by 0.048 seconds over Kevin King. Andrew Freenosh comes home 3rd. We are going to talk to all of them in just a few moments. Silver, Bowie, Davis, Burke, Tice, Lariah, and Papineau, the top 10.
And that puts Michael Johnson down to the 11th with Brandon Fetter place in 12th. Ross Cato will bring out 13th place. How about Cody Harrison 14th? Wyatt Master, Schmidt, Grindell Terry rounding out the cars back to 17th on the lead lap.
See Danson back there 7 laps down at Hurt. Chris Rabel, Sam Nieto rounds out your top 20. You take a look back here past that. We go to our final 3. We got Sean Kalist, Eric Stanford, and Braden Whitaker.
To look top to bottom at your KaylaSynthetics.com full race results. Kayla Synthetics is an independent dealer of AMSOIL lubricants serving the United States and Canada, providing custom engine lubrication solutions to all types of customers, from private individuals to race teams, hauling fleets, and everything in between. They have the products and expertise to help you save time and money. Dealer number 300711815. Well, we will start our post-race festivities by talking to the top finishers in this race. Let's start with the 4th place finisher of those in the championship. And let's hand things off to you, Terry, first, talking with Matt Danson, who gets 4th in the points.
I'm sure Matt Danson, you probably hate me, but you finished 4th in the championship here. Not the results you wanted. Talk me through this race, man.
Yeah, I don't know. What do I say? It was a race. I felt like pace was actually pretty good. Obviously, you know, ability to practice is pretty limited. Just with you know, having a new little bub, and so it's pretty much just restricted to whatever like racing I do. I try and learn as I go. So had a league race last night, which Kevin, you know, was brilliant in, and just kind of, you know, tried to watch and learn off what he was doing there to hopefully apply that then tonight. And yeah, I feel like my pace was improved. Long run was okay, and then yeah, I know I wasted a lot of time in that first like long run just trying to look at the strat. I like 1 minute I'm right behind the other guys, and I look up, you know, sort of a couple laps later, and I dropped like a second and a half, whatever, fiddling around with fuel levels and whatnot. But yeah, so I felt pretty good with that, and then just seeing how that strat was going to play out. I was just trying to pace myself versus where Agnell was, and I know that you know, he got to Kevin. I think looking at the relative, he got right to Kevin as he was going to pit. Kevin was going to pit, that is. And then I guess he spun and brought out the yellow and whatever. It was going to be interesting to see how that would play out. But yeah, then the second half of the race was just, I don't know, trying to make up. I used obviously the extra set, and so then when we had that other yellow, I was thinking, you know, how's the rest of the race going to pan out? Let's maybe not pit, so we got a you know, a set in hand and all that jazz. But yeah, that just really didn't pan out. And then I don't know, just the car just cliffed massively, like right towards the end. The car just became super undrivable. I know that I know someone was looking low, and I just went to take a normal line, and then yeah, the rear just stepped out, and I don't know if that's what then made it like complete, you know, like a shopping cart, you know, when you go down to the local, like I guess for Walmart for you guys, and it's just like the rear wheels are what drives the cart. And then if you get like a bit of a shaky wheel, it's like the cart's undrivable. That's what this felt like in those 2 laps. And I know if I was wearing Kevin's shoes, I'd be pretty upset, just sort of thinking that, you know, because I think he had a massive lead at the time. So, you know, fair enough. But by the same token, let's not forget that he self-spun, you know, on pit entry. So it's not like the car is just, or everyone's without fault. So like I on one hand, I can totally respect being a little bit pissy, but it's like, you know, he's done the same thing. He mentioned me before. He's like, nice self-spin. It's like, well, mate, I didn't do it on purpose. I literally just wrecked my car. So, yeah, it's probably just a sore point at the moment. I'd probably be in the exact same position as him. I'd be, you know, upset and whatnot. But, you know, I mean, shoot, yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Well, Yeah, obviously, I hope you return for the Winter Series and obviously for the 2023 season. But I thank all the sponsors that go on there that just put together a remarkable season. I know that there's one of us up here that's doubted you all season long. I'm not going to mention him. I think he left. His name is Nolan. He's doubted you the entire season. I know the guy's doubted you from the start. So we'll let him slide. We'll let him pass. I think all the sponsors is going to put that car back on the track for 2023.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Yeah, I'll definitely, obviously, I'll shout out everyone there. But first and foremost, of course, thanks to everyone that puts on the whole competition. Evan, yourself, Nolan, Joshua, everyone involved with everything that goes on. It's like I said, I'm having a newborn. Free time is limited, and every single week I look forward to this. This is my sort of my time away, I guess, from baby duties, and always look forward to getting out here and racing with everyone. And we have our ups and downs. We cuss each other and we get frustrated and whatnot on the track. But at the end of the day, it's it's really, I really value the time sort of race with everyone and just getting to do that and share a hobby. It's really cool. But shout out, of course, Logitech, Virtual Racing School, Race Tech Seats. Everyone at Altus Esports, for the support and encouragement. Obviously we've got a bunch of guys in contender at the moment that are just crushing it, doing amazing. So shout out all of them, and hopefully we can get a bunch of guys into Coke. That'd be super proud of that achievement for the team. On the road side, we just had 3 guys get in through the road contender into PESC. So I'm really proud of all them as well. Just the whole team. Everyone's doing brilliant, and obviously from a personal standpoint, thanks for the continued support from Alex, my partner, and little Ollie. One day he'll be in the championship for self spinning, his way out of the contention, I'm sure. But like I said, even Terry, as much as I gave you a hard time last week about doubting me, whatever, it's all fun, right? Like, it's all just getting out there and enjoying what we do, and our love of race cars, both real life and virtual, and just it's nice to have a hobby that we can all share. So appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that, Matt Danson, and congratulations on a phenomenal season. We'll see you in the Winter Series, I hope, and we'll see you next season. That's Matt Danson, P4 in your championship 4, 18th on the racetrack. And Evan P., my guy, you got that freenage, dude.
It's going to be a different interview that we've had with him for the last amount of memory, as Andrew Freenage comes home tonight, 3rd in the race, and it is a 3rd in the championship for the 4-time champ Andrew. I know that, you go back to January to the point where you don't even know if you're going to be racing full-time with these new cars, and you make it all the way to the championship 4 and with a fighting chance in this title fight. Tell us about what happened tonight on track.
Yeah, prepped like we normally do, and I felt like we were, I don't know, third to second best car tonight. Just didn't have the speed Kevin did on the long run, short run. So we were kind of just hoping to go long on that pit cycle there, and Kevin had his issues, so that kind of scrambled it up, and we just felt like we were a step behind most of the 3 guys tonight, trying to save tires, and just didn't have it with the speed, honestly. So and we ended up taking fuel where we probably shouldn't have, and that cost us on that run to the end. At least that's what I thought, the run to the end and the caution. So we just didn't have it tonight in years past. But first off, congratulations to Agnell, though. Tonight's about him. Tonight's about the great job that he did. That was a hell of a call. I still can't believe he made that work on 2 tires. So congratulations to him. Great guy. Going to represent our league great as our champion. So.
You've been in positions over the course of your title run where it looked like you weren't going to win the race at Phoenix. Late yellow comes out, a little bit of strategy comes into play, and you can seal it up. When you have that late restart, did you think maybe there was a chance to be the second car on the 4 tires?
Of course you think that. I still can't believe. I thought Agnell was going to go straight to the back, and it's like he was on 4 tires there till that last lap. So I thought if Kevin and him got scrapping, maybe they mess up and we had a chance. But like I said, I mean, we were 3rd place car tonight, and that's kind of where we ended up. That's where we belong. So there was a small chance. I just wanted them to race it out clean, which they did. That was a heck of a finish for the fans. So I'm happy it ended the way we did. I'm happy with the guys, the 4 guys we got to race. All of them were clean. So just again, congratulations to Agnell. I can't congratulate him enough. That's awesome for him.
The old-time winningest driver in RSR history, the most championships out of anybody. Now that incredible 4 times consecutive run comes to a close, what's next for Andrew Friedosh? Is this the last we see of the 88 here on Monday night? So what's the next chapter for you?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you, Evan. Kind of got a little burned out towards the end of this, so might take a little bit of a break. Might, I don't know, run some winter series. Probably not competitive or anything. Everything's up in the air. I definitely want to stay with RSR. Maybe admin. Maybe jump in the booth with you guys or race or do something like that.
I'm sure we could make that work.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be a voice there, kind of get in the driver's head, but I'm not sure what we're gonna do. We're gonna step away for a little bit, take a little bit of break, and I don't know. I love this league, so I want to be a part of it somehow.
He's the greatest to ever do it. The 4-time champ, the 45-time race winner. Andrew, congratulations on your 3rd in the championship here in 2022.
Thanks so much, Evan. Do want to say a big shout out to Battle Beaver for everything they did this year, coming on the car and sponsoring. Paul for all he did, all the friends and family that put up with this hobby. I know it's a lot of time, but I can't say thank you enough. And the fans, man, we put on a good show tonight. If you don't like that, you don't like racing. All 4 of these guys just incredible, and all you do, Evan, for this league, and all you guys broadcast. I love watching the races back.
There's no show without the talented drivers on track. Andrew, it's been a pleasure watching you, and best of luck. We hope to see you soon.
Thanks so much, guys.
He's your 3rd place finisher tonight at the Phoenix Raceway. Terry, now we go to Kevin King, leading 100 laps tonight, just not lap number 156. You are stood by with the driver who finishes 2nd in the championship, the number 31 Chevrolet. That is Kevin King.
You win a championship last night in FTF, Kevin. You come here tonight and need to say you put an ass whooping on them here tonight, but you came inches, and I mean inches, from winning another championship tonight.
Yeah, that sucked. I felt bad when I kind of ruined everyone's strategy a little bit, kind of reset things when I basically got loose and almost died going into the pits when I pit. But that last stint, I felt like I basically had it won, and just kind of driving around and waiting for the laps to end, and basically Gateway came back to haunt me again, and the 2-tire gimmick strategy thing somehow works, and it's super frustrating because I felt like I did everything right, and ultimately it wasn't in my hands at the end. I felt like I just was at the mercy of circumstances, and ended up 2nd. So that's what we got.
Well, I get that. That last corner,
yeah,
he kind of threw that blot. Any part of your mind, I know you're a very respectful racer. You're very kind to talk to. Any part of you that just thought, I don't want to finish 2nd. Maybe you just said, listen, I can move you, but you didn't. You actually lifted. Was that just pure respect, or did you just don't want to go down as a champ like that? You wanted to win it heads up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like the stuff that happened over the weekend. It's very easy, or just in general, it's very easy just to run through someone to pass them. It doesn't take a lot of talent to do that. So, as frustrating as it was to not necessarily have the speed, I think I had one more lap, I would have been good. I wasn't going to just drive through them and take it like that, because I wouldn't want that done, been done to me that way. So hats off to him. It worked out. It's just, it's frustrating. You lead a lot of laps and you put yourself in position to win, and it ends up turning into something like that. But, I had no intention of hitting him. It was just going to be one of those things where you kind of take it on the chin, and you learn that 2 tires after 50 laps are somehow good in this game. So you put that in the knowledge bank, and if a situation comes up, then you use that to your advantage potentially. But it was fun overall. I mean, like I said, I felt like I did good in the long run. I probably bit myself there for not pitting when they did. I just didn't even think about it, thinking that we'd have yellows based on how a few races have gone, and ultimately reset everything. And then I was on the good side of it towards the end, and became on the bad side of it. So it is what it is. We just we'll take 2nd. We'll have the stats and all that fun stuff, and we'll move on to other things and focus on pro now.
Yeah, you have nothing to prove. You're a winner in the Coke Series. you moved on to Contender. You're an FTF champion. You're an 8-time winner over here. Do we see you in the Winter Series, and do you come back to try to win that RSR championship next season in that 31 machine?
I don't think I can do the Winter Series. It doesn't make sense for me. I definitely have to put focus on the Contender stuff, and it doesn't make sense to have races on Tuesday and basically have that tied up on Monday, unfortunately. And as far as next season, depending if I make it to Coke, it's also one of those things. It's not the best idea. Because a lot of the times they run the same schedule that the Open is under, so people are practicing and running laps or running races on the Monday before. So if I get to that point, it's probably not going to happen. But if not, then I need to probably make sure I have my time well spent. So I'll probably be back. Hopefully a different number though, because I'm tired of 31. That's not my number. So if Chris Rabel wants to give me my 29 back, I will take it. But hopefully we can shed the 31 and maybe come out with some more luck because of it.
I tell you, it's an absolute pleasure watching you all season long. I called you from your first win all the way till now. You've been a phenomenal ambassador for RSR. You're a great ambassador for iRacing, for eNASCAR. I hope you make it to Coke, my man. You'll be a great ambassador for the top level of this series. Congratulations on P2 here tonight and P2 in the championship. We'll see you. We'll see you in the Coke series. I won't even say we'll see you in Contender. We'll see you in the Coke series. Yeah,
I appreciate it. Just want to say thanks to Tom, Boost, and Battle Beaver. Obviously, I joined a new squad for Contender, Reiko V1 Speed. I need to figure out what their name is because that's messed up. Victory One. I'm so sorry. All those guys. Evan for putting on the broadcast. Obviously, big congratulations, Agno. He's been super fast. I didn't really know about him until Road to Pro, but he's come along a long way and proven that he's really quick. So. Hats off to him for making it work. I think if we just, if we went green that first time, he probably would have won anyways, just the tire advantage. But yeah, thank you so much. We'll try to get him next time, but definitely going to start focusing on Contender now.
Thank you so much, sir. Evan P. That's Kevin King, P2 on the track, P1 in a lot of people's hearts. You have the happiest person in Phoenix right now, Agnell Phillip.
He is indeed the 2022 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series champion. Agnell Phillip gets it done with a 2-tire call late. Agnell, first, I want to get your reaction. Agnell Phillip, RSR Cup champion.
Wait, say that one more time, Evan. Please.
I'll say it the same way. Agnell Phillip, RSR Cup Series champion.
Wow, I don't know, man. That's still kind of unbelievable. I felt really out of it there at the 10 to go mark or wherever that was before that last caution came out, and I was pretty low. I didn't think it was possible, but yeah, that's crazy, and to do it against the caliber of competition in the series is just it hasn't quite sunk in yet. But yeah, what a finish, what a race.
I would say that it's a complete shock, except, those weren't the only laps you led tonight. And Kevin had just, said to us, he thought that if things had stayed green earlier, that you could have won this race. So let's rewind it back to kind of midway in this race, right? As point where all four of you guys start 1, 2, 3, 4, you're running there, and then it gets to a long green flag run. You decide to come down pit road. Agnell Phillip is in. You're down with Andrew Freenosh. Then you've got Danson, I should say, and then Andrew and Kevin stay out. You guys cycle all the way around to catch up to them, to the point where they hadn't yet pitted. You pitted on 4 tires. You get there, and seemingly, all of a sudden, in a real good spot. Then Kevin comes to pit, gets loose, spins, gets the yellow. Talk us through what happens from there on out.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of gamed it out on the suggestion of my teammate Nathan Jurgensen, who was my spotter tonight. He's like, you should check, make sure the delta between a 2-stop and a 1-stop, just see what it is, just do the 80 lap run and do some math. And so I did, and I was like, wow, this is so much faster to 2-stop. But obviously the risk is if you have a caution anywhere in that, you are kind of get screwed by it. But it worked out even better than I thought. I didn't think I would catch them on that run. So I felt okay because we cycled to the lead. And I think if that next run had gone green to the end, I'll be honest, I think we would have been fine on pace with Kevin with the track position. Like he'd been right there the whole time. But I think I would have held on to the tires. We'll never know. And then that caution came out. I think it was 2 cautions after that, the one that ended that cycle, and where the split decision was on pit road. And it was a kind of like 50-50 decision in my mind. I wanted to hold on to the lead. We had enough sets left where if I lost the lead at any point, I would, I'd lose my track position because we'd all just come down and get tires. So it probably wasn't the greatest idea looking back on it anyway, but ended up staying out. Not as many people stayed out as I would have liked. It didn't end up mattering. I think Kevin caught me within 10 laps on that next run. And then as I'm free falling through the field, I'm just like, especially once Drew passed me, because I didn't know, I don't know on our rule book if there was going to be like a post-race penalty for Kevin or something for not claiming that caution. I was like, maybe if I stay in front of Drew, we'll have, a kind of after the fact chance at this. That didn't happen. I'm falling through the field, and I'm just like, if there's no caution, we're done. Like there's really nothing left to it. Kevin's gone, I think, by like 5-6 seconds at that point. And then a caution came out, and I knew I was taking 2. Like the minute it happened, I was just like, all right, uncheck fuel, uncheck the left side tires, and pray that nobody else takes 2. And nobody else took 2, and got a really good launch on that last restart. And I think that was the difference, because with Nick being able to get around Kevin and kind of hold him up for that little bit, it gave me the space for when the worn left sides kicked in. To have a little bit of a buffer and make it so that Kevin had to do that kind of hero send in the last corner there to try and get to me. But yeah, I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotion. I went from feeling really good to kind of good to really, really bad to I don't even know what I'm feeling like right now.
It was a learning curve for everybody this season. You get 3 race wins, you get the title. What was this year like as a whole for you, learning these cars, fighting with the likes of Andrew Friedrich, Kevin King, and so many more, and being right there lockstep with them through it all?
I went from really hating this car to, I think in the last 10, 12 races, like really starting to appreciate. And I think there were some tweaks that iRacing made to it that made it a little bit more enjoyable to drive. Still room for improvement, a lot of room for improvement. But I came to really appreciate driving these cars, which I think is the first step for me to really, getting good at something is kind of making peace with what the car is and trying to maximize, what you have to do to be fast in it. And yeah, it was a learning curve. And Kevin, especially in the chase, he had, or in the playoffs, I guess, he had just incredible pace everywhere. I was just finishing second to him all over the place. When I wasn't finishing second to him, I was finishing second to Danson. So, it was a little discouraging, but also it was good because I felt like, and you need a couple of those races, I was right there. And in the other ones, if you're finishing second a lot, you have the chance to throw Hail Marys, like take 2 tires, on a late race restart and try and hold people off. And that's really what, today came down. If I didn't have the pace to kind of maintain the way I did, I might not have been able to make up the track position with 2 tires. And, it's been a great year just generally. I didn't make the Contenders Series to try and make it into the Pro Coke Series, but that was the only real disappointment in what's otherwise been a really fulfilling, really, really good year.
Well, this is a series that has seen a lot of Coke Series drivers come through it. I think certainly your future is bright, but tonight the title stands as the champion of the 2022 Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Agno, we'll let you go process things and celebrate. Before we do, though, anybody else you want to say hi to?
I gotta thank my spotter, Nathan Jurgensen. Just really, he calmed me down all race and kept me locked in, so that was great. And to the entire team at A51, I'm glad we could bring a championship to this team. We don't get many chances to win championships, so I'm glad I could bring something to this to our little team. And thankful to all the guys over there. Have to thank my partner Claire for being supportive of this endeavor and always being encouraging, giving me the time and space to do this. To my family, who I hope are watching. I'm not sure if they are, but I'm sure they will on replay at least. for also being super supportive. And of course to you, Evan, and to the rest of the broadcast crew, but especially you, Evan, for putting this on. It's quite a joy. I know we had a little bit messier season than I remember us having last year, but you were a great leader through all of it, and keeping us all in line. So I appreciate that and giving us a space to do this.
I told Andrew just a couple of minutes ago, there's no show if we don't get some of the top talent to show up on Monday night.
We put on a show there at the end, didn't we?
That was a finish I'm sure that we'll be talking about again in so many years' time. But the 11th season of the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series has come to an end, and Agnell, you end it as the champion. Congratulations, and start planning on where that belt's going to go. We'll see a lot more, I'm sure, for the 94 soon.
Got to figure that out. Yes, thank you, Evan.
That is talking with tonight's race winner and the champion, Agnell Phillip, the title winner in the 2022 Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. I'm just now kind of catching my breath, Terry, on the finish. It was Kevin King's year, Kevin King's night, but we've seen guys have the upper hand on Andrew in some of those other years, seemingly in position to win the Phoenix finale, and it all slides away. Tonight, that happens to Kevin King. And listen, what did I say when Agnell pitted? I don't think it's going to work, but you might as well try. Mud on my face, because he makes the two-tire call work, and Agnell upsets the Juggernauts and is an RSR champion.
What a season. I mean, you collect all your thoughts from... I got here in like week 8, Bristol Dirt. I mean, you guys were pretty, good into the season, and I have grown to love this series. Like, my favorite part of Monday nights is going tonight's RSR night. The weeks that we had off, it was like, damn, we ain't racing tonight. But just to see these drivers evolve throughout the whole season, when it came to the next gen car, when it came to racing with new talent, you saw Cody Harris come on strong. You saw Kevin King come on really strong. Matt Danson showed up on ovals. A lot of first-time winners. I mean, we talked to people that had some of the best interviews possible, just for getting the top 3 finish. How did they get there? It's awesome. Tonight was a showcase of the greatest race that you'll see in RSR competition. And I don't know what the other races that happened tonight was, but this was the best finish. This is where the party's at. This is where Coke drivers come through. This isn't a showboat. This isn't a celebrity contest. This is racers. This is badass racers coming out here every week. And next year, it's going to get even more stacked. There's more drivers in line ready to come here and showcase their talent in RSR. This is where the party. I want to be back next year. So # bring Terry back.
We've already got a date for Daytona, so it's going to happen. We will be back for 2023, and I think, to your point, this is the best show on a Monday night in sim racing. If you missed it, that's a shame on you. You got to go back and watch it. Any of those
all demand on RaceSpot.
Any of those 4 guys have been and can be Coke Series level drivers. I look forward to personally talking about them on the road to $300,000 one day, but at least in the meantime, happy that they can make a pit stop per se here in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. And what a year it was. We talked at the very top about the Andrew Freenosh dominance, what he could do, the 4-time consecutive champ, making it into the championship 4 even against all odds. He was in the mix as well. Danson's come on strong. He's learned the ovals. He's right there with anybody else, could easily go through that road to pro ladder. But for Agnell Phillip, a name that Kevin King admitted didn't know a ton about him until he raced him here on Monday nights, is out there winning official things, short of contender this year. That series is certainly in his future, I think, as well.
He'll be back. I mean, next season he had a very good road to pro. To miss contender by, I think it wasn't a smallest of the margins that he missed it. So if I was you, you talked about being on the road to 300,000. It's going to happen for a lot of these drivers. I think Kevin King's this is his year. He'll make it through contender, the Xfinity car. He had a bit of a struggle in that Xfinity car, but he finished inside that top 20. He's there. I just can't get over how cool this race was. I mean, this was greatest show on Monday night. I think we should put that in our title somewhere. That this is where it's at. I called that other Monday night show. It's cool. It's got its spectacles, but this is where the party starts, right here in RSR.
Could be a big consequential night. Do we see Freenosh again? Do we see Kevin King again on a Monday night with all that they have going on? We don't know. but Agno Phillip has ushered in, I should say, the next generation of what we'll see here after 11 years now of racing in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. And of course, if you don't want to wait till February, it keeps on going because we are back for the 2023 RealSimRacing Winter Series. That all gets kicked off just a couple of weeks' time on Monday, November the 28th. It is an 8-race calendar this year, Terry. It has bounced between 8 and 10 historically. That number drops down to 8 to give drivers 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's and an extra break off in between the end of Cup this year and the beginning of Cup next year. But that is with those Xfinity Series cars, and that is the schedule that the next RSR champion will be crowned along.
Well, I hope that maybe I get a start somewhere in there. I maybe circle Daytona as a chance that I have to go out there and win it. But it's awesome. Hopefully, I'm a part of this Winter Series. Not too sure what Mondays hold for me in the future with RaceSpot. It's kind of been up in the air whether or not I go do PRL stuff or whether I stick over here. I hope it's over here because this has been probably the most funnest. I guess funnest is a word. I don't care. This has been the funnest series I've called from start to finish ever. 2 years of doing it. This right here was fun. This Winter Series is going to be pretty epic because I've seen the kind of the sign-up sheet here. There's a lot of talent there.
And of course, if you're a viewer interested in participating in that Winter Series, keep an eye at RealSimRacing on Twitter. I can tell you early registration is still open for drivers currently on the Cup schedule, and I believe there's only single-digit positions left on the grid, not even at public registration yet. So that's going to be a hot ticket. Always look forward to seeing some of the new names that come into the series as well and compete. But as I always say, until next time, 2022 has fallen into our rear view mirror, and until next time, that is it for us here tonight for iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway. So many people who were a part of this championship all season long, all of our partners and sponsors who played a hand in bringing us to you, for our friends at Kayla Synthetics, Elwood Designs, the High Banks Podcast, Battle Beaver, Get Wet Sports, of course our broadcast partner here at RaceSpotTV, Hugo Luis behind the dials sometimes, so many other talented people as well, for Joshua Lee downstairs tonight, for all the broadcasters as well who have been upstairs with me throughout this one. But tonight, for Nolan Rempel, Terry Radford, and myself, Evan Pasoko, want to thank you for tuning in. And one final tip of the cap and a congratulations to Agno Phillip, your 2022 Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series champion. Good night from the desert in Phoenix. We'll catch you next time in Daytona Beach.